Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Have Sheila Holm back with us again. We're gonna do a deep dive on Tina Peters, talk about sedition, talk about treason, talk about all the people that have, probably already been, arrested, but we're just not seeing it. The lies and disinformation that's out there. So much that we can cover today, and we're going to. Sheila, thanks for joining us once again.
It is so awesome to be with you. There is so much happening. I mean, it's like the floodgates opened when they realized President Trump said, my fellow Americans, we're going to have a conversation tomorrow night. I'm going to address the nation. He doesn't have to do it through EBS because he's doing it straight from the White House now.
Wow, how about that? So
Yeah.
everybody's been waiting for EBS, and we're just going to have it direct from the White House.
Hmm.
That's interesting. Uh,
And I don't know if you've seen the fact, but if you just think of the numbers of today, today is 12/17, a 17 day, which is amazing.
okay.
Okay. But
Yep.
12 and 17 is 11. 2025 is 9. It's the mirror of 911.
Oh, wow.
Isn't
Interesting.
this amazing?
Back in their face with it. That's good.
And he's doing it right tonight. And what does that match up with? The We'll see this when we go through the Twitter feed in just a little bit. Do you remember when we were at a rally? I wasn't at that physical rally, but there was a rally. And do you remember when Santa Claus came out in costume and then Mrs. Santa Claus came out in costume and they danced around and they were talking about gifts and everything else, and on the wall was the picture of Santa. That
Ah,
picture got re-released today. So Santa was in the midst of all these bricks, and the picture of Santa has a hammer and another tool in the other hand, and that matches a Q proof about Christmas, justice by Christmas.
wow.
So,
Ah,
and we're kind of a week away, a little bit over a week away, but that's where we are.
yeah. Well, the numbers line up right. So I like
Hmm.
that because they're all about numbers, and we play those numbers back on them. I think that's really good because we're,
Hmm.
God's behind us, and a lot of this stuff has just been happening in its perfect timing. And you talk about this often, uh, and I think that this is going to be one of those events tonight, and then of course going forward. Now, do you think that they're going to do? Because we've already seen a lot of people that have mysteriously died, that are Hollywood and music industry and so forth have been disappear or dying mysteriously. Do you think there's going to be something major happening? I think they've stopped a lot of 9/11s, to be honest. And
I do too. I do
yeah,
too.
good. And so maybe that's why they're emboldened to come right out and and just really put it all out there in front of the public and the world, really.
Well, you know what's funny on YouTube? All of a sudden, I started getting all of these videos of top level stars that we've known for years that died. Did you ever hear an announcement about it? We're here now, they're dead. But I didn't hear anything that they were sick, when they died. And you know what's really interesting? I don't think we've been on since Cheney, but did you notice about Cheney? Why was the funeral exactly 17 days after the death was announced?
That's really strange, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, just little stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
just little stuff I've been observing. Just little stuff.
very good.
But if we want to put it to rest about Tina Peters so we can get into the depth of what our country's facing and I'm not trying to say that I know anything about what the president is going to say tonight, but I know where we are by him restoring our Department of War. So we'll
Exactly.
probably, if we have time, we can get into that today too, because I have
Oh
some
yeah, yeah, we
information
got
for you on
time.
that.
Yeah, let's go deep.
So here's Tina,
Go ahead.
and this is her attorney. And what's really funny is nobody knew anything was happening. They're all, come on, Sheila, when's she going to get out? Was it really a pardon? Isn't a presidential party? And then as soon as they receive the pardon, they have to release her. Well, nobody's like released and pardoned like within an hour or 2 hours or a day, typically, but they're refusing to even operate in that system. They're not even cooperating. And
Right.
this letter that just went out on the 15th to them personally, because they'd already met with them. And this explains exactly everything that happened. So I don't know if you want to share this down below the interview, or this is on. I retweeted this today, and I'll retweet it with Jaco on it. And so you guys can go on his page and find this. This is a profound, profound letter. And so I don't know if we want to take the time to read it, but it is so good. So would you like to read a paragraph? I read a paragraph. What would you like to do?
Yeah, let's do that. I'll start out, and this is very
Okay.
interesting because it's directed directly to the warden. Dear Warden Stansel, on December 5th, 2025, President Donald J. Trump issued a full and unconditional pardon to my client, Tina M. Peters, at approximately 5:55, interesting time, p.m. on December 12th, 2025. I personally served a copy of the presidential pardon on armed DOC staff at the La Vista Correctional Facility and requested that they release Mrs. Peters.
Instead of releasing Mrs. Peters as required by federal law, the Department of Corrections personnel stated that they would not comply with President Trump's pardon. That's very specific, guys. That wording is very specific. Their refusal is categorically unlawful. A presidential pardon is self-executing and immediately terminates all legal authority for continued custody. Your refusal to release Mrs. Peters is not a clerical delay. It is a willful deprivation of liberty under color of law in direct violation of 18 USC Section 242. If more than one Department of Corrections employee acted in concert to block her release, it further constitutes a conspiracy to deprive rights under 18 USC Section 241.
Wow. I expect Mrs. Peters to be released immediately. If she is not, her attorneys will pursue all available civil and criminal remedies against every state officer or official who knowingly participated in obstructing the enforcement of a presidential pardon.
Please provide written confirmation without delay identifying the precise time Mrs. Peters will be released in order to create a plan to safely receive her. Now, before we move from this, in the paragraph you just read, they knowingly participated. They knowingly rejected by saying, we will not comply. They don't have any, they have no involvement with her once that pardon was put in their hands. It's over. And so to say we're not going to comply with any presidential pardon. Now, here's what's really wonderful. Do you know that these pardons operated precisely according to USC 18 before President Lincoln? He was the first Republican president. The Republican Party was brand new. And these pardons were honored even before President Lincoln. So the things that are happening are so critical. And that's why when I responded to things today, I kept saying, please go and look up the definition, the terms that are involved in sedition and treason. Because anybody who knowingly operates against federal law, anybody who operates against our Constitution, anybody who incites people to do the same knowingly, that's treason. The difference in the wording, and that's why I wanted us to go back and look at the word knowingly. If you've knowingly participated in this, and that's why Juan's been saying, you guys better think about getting an attorney, because a lot of attorneys aren't going to represent you in this kind of a case. So you better
Wow.
start looking for somebody now before. It's just like when everybody in DC was notified, a new sheriff's in town, this isn't going to work anymore. All of a sudden, there were no attorneys available in DC because everybody hired attorneys.
You have all the maneuver.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some very interesting things are going to happen, I think, going forward, as far as like, the accountability, who's going to be held responsible and so forth. They're going to try and, get to the point where they're going to like, oh, I was told to do this and I was told to do that, but I don't think that's going to be something that they can get away with. Now, did
Can't.
you want to read the terminology or the definition of sedition?
I will, but they can't escape from this
Yeah.
because that was the whole thing on the military accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You're just following somebody's orders. It
Mm-mm.
doesn't matter because when it comes down to the rule of law,
Yep.
you chose to operate against the Constitution. You chose to operate against a legal American who received a presidential pardon that's unconditional. Period. End of story. You chose to operate the way you operated. I want to make sure that they're making it very, very clear. And the reason why these terms are so critical is a lot of Americans don't understand, just like a lot of the military when they told President Trump back in 2018 when he went and served him dinner in Afghanistan. And there he was. And he said, how long would it take to get out of this war? And he said, well, sir, probably 7, maybe 10 days on the outside. He said, then why are you guys still here? And he said, we're following orders. That's what happened in the military, but that's what happened everywhere. Everybody in the medical industry followed orders in 20 and 21. They were all following orders. So you can't make me be held accountable. Those consequences are now coming upon the people who chose to follow orders and operate against the rights of the people on the land in America. So sedition. Sedition is speech or action that encourages rebellion or unrest against a government, falling short of treason, which involves direct betrayal or aiding enemies. But okay, now let me just add a caveat. This is from Sheila. This isn't in the term. Look at what some of these senators and congressmen are involved with because they went and tried to negotiate other deals with cabal members that were sent out of this country, deported, and tried to go back and renew deals with them. Because one of the biggest things with Tina is the Venezuelan connection, international interference in the Colorado election, which was a federal election. And that documentation is held, which we forget about, with the House of Representatives. Every election is a federal controlled election. And people don't realize the depth of this. So, but aiming to disrupt lawful authority, often through incitement to insurrection or hatred. Historically, sedition laws have been used to suppress dissent and political speech, leading to prosecutions under acts like the U.S. Sedition Act of 1798. Though modern interpretation, especially in the U.S., mounts that the laws with free speech rights gives them an opening to not consider it sedition. And that's what Senator Mark Kelly's trying to do because what came down from Pentagon yesterday, he's under command investigation of what he said in the seditious six. We've seen that tape.
Yep.
And now when I mentioned that last night on an interview with Juan said, Sheila, it's probably over 240 now. So they started with a seditious six. The other one's enjoined in it because when you enjoin in it, you're participating and you're choosing to follow that process instead of following the rule of law. And that's why we've made very clear the rule of law is so important.
So Juan said 240 now. Is he talking about Congress and senators, congressmen and senators?
Well, when I said the seditious six, he said it's no longer six, it's more than 240 now. So they've already got the names of all the people. That's what's really crazy is people are out there saying whatever they want to say, just like when they said all this stuff about President Trump, just like when they refused for him to even be on X.
Yeah.
Just like when they took down people off of YouTube, you don't have the right to do that. What was your ruling that you followed in order to do that?
Yeah.
Because that is severe censorship of truth.
Yeah.
And you don't have a right to do that in America.
Well,
so to say we were seditious, but it was our free speech, it doesn't equate.
Yeah, but they came back with the, we're protecting, the community, and the community can't, determine on their own, what is right and what's wrong. That's ridiculous, right? So it's free speech. That's why there is free speech. Now, Susie Wiles has been accused of making these inflammatory accusations against Elon Musk, calling him someone that runs around the White House doing ketamine, and President Trump acts like he's an alcoholic, and some of the things that he does. And so we talked before the show. Now I'm watching that and I'm like, I haven't seen this interview that everybody's saying that she did say all these things. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. There's no video.
Yeah,
I've seen a couple of things. She never did a video with anybody. She never did interviews. Now she's made a couple of statements on a couple of things, but not anything like what they're saying. And so where's the video?
yeah,
Where's your evidence? Where's your proof? And what they don't understand when we were talking about sedition, it's right in the first line. Anyone that does speech or an action that would encourage rebellion or unrest against a government, when you start resisting and wanting other people to not follow what the commander in chief is saying in this nation, from military people, remember Quantico on September 30, we've already covered that. It's the same thing. We are all under the same rules and laws in America. And Senator Mark Kelly is not above the law because he's a senator. And how horrible is it that our senator doesn't even know the law and doesn't even know our Constitution and doesn't even know he caused problems for himself?
yeah.
Who is this guy?
And former military, and then telling the rest of the military not to obey an unlawful order, where he knows that everyone goes through at the very basically. I remember this in boot camp. You learn about unlawful orders and how it's your responsibility not to follow them, or to not really follow them, but to bring them to everyone's attention, so you don't have a rebellion. And that's what they're trying to incite, a rebellion. So yeah, there's definitely some things that are going to come down from this. Perhaps tonight it's going to be announced. So that'll be interesting. So if it is announced tonight, then you think there's going to be a movement? Because Juan has said that President Trump is going to announce basically an emergency election, you know, type thing where, we have to come in and make sure the elections are secured. Maybe that comes out tonight.
I think the whole process comes out tonight
Wow.
because the election, if we are at a point, and I don't know, I don't have an inside source on this part of it. If we're fully ready to go back to being a republic by correcting our currency, correcting the elections, having a republic structure with the corporation being dealt with, and it's dealt with, but forming everything back. And that's why Jefferson told us, once you have corruption in the republic, you can't just replace an evil with something else. You have to completely do what President Trump is doing right now. And if in that case, I believe there's a statute within the structure that there has to be an election within 120 days. And
Oh, wow.
I know the time? Do I know the timing of this? But this is what is possible for us. But again, I'm not one of the people in the room in the conversations.
That is
But
amazing. That makes so much sense that
doesn't it?
we would just have across the board, another election. Everybody gets
Because
registered and then we have an
yeah,
election. Wow.
well, and it's immediate because as soon as you have the election, you have a change.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
corporation switched it from February, March timeframe up to November, and then gave them until January to do whatever they wanted to destroy during the transition time. There's been no transition.
Hmm.
They just do whatever they want to do and give all sorts of pardons, and they do all of this stuff. Their ability, it's just like somebody dies. That structure under that person is gone. And the new comes in because we decided not to vote you for another term. So you're gone. That hasn't been happening under the corporation structure. Election beginning in November, and the next person doesn't come in till toward the end of January. All of this is different, but that's why I kept saying read the Constitution, and I highlighted this week on the things that Juan's been issuing, and I said we don't have to rewrite because remember, Hillary Clinton was pushing, so was Nancy Pelosi. And so were some of the others. I mean, those are the two that were really being vocal about it. We have to have a constitutional conference, just like they did in the beginning. We don't need to rewrite our Constitution.
Right.
But what we do need to do, instead of rewriting the Constitution, we have to read the Constitution. So reread it, not rewrite it. And so that's where we're at because people don't understand. And after we do the one on treason, and again, think about the word knowingly. I mean, Comey knowingly set up a Gmail account just like Hillary. So he wasn't going to turn in Hillary, he'd have to turn in himself. And when you do that kind of communication on national affairs on an unsecured non-government computer, what are you doing to America? So, I mean, I'm just giving a simple example.
Yep.
But when you knowingly do these things and then you lie about it and do the cover up of it, and you don't let the American people know the truth, and that's what's been happening to us the whole time we've been a country. But
Yep.
now we have documented evidence because we have those records, we have those emails, we have it all. And
Yeah.
so they knowingly committed treason against our country. And remember when Kavanaugh was being interviewed when he was up for justice of the Supreme Court? It was so profound. And it's just a funny quirk that it was Lindsey Graham that questioned him. I mean, it's just kind of funny. But anyway, Lindsey Graham was questioning, this is civil law. And is it different from military law? And he said, absolutely. And then he had him explain the difference. So people are wanting, where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? You don't see the arrests when it's military. You don't know that these things are going on. All I've heard is the brigs are full. Now, have I been on military bases and seen that the brigs are full? No, but I've heard that the brigs have been full for a long time.
Wow.
And so where are these people? You're not seeing these people out in the public anymore.
Well, I can tell you when I was in the military, the brigs were never full. So that's and I was in the military for a very long time. So that's very interesting. I believe it. And I believe they're transferring people like Juan has talked about, and I've seen some evidence of that all the way out to Guam for incarceration as well.
Well, remember the barges that well, it wasn't just a barge, but it had like prisons on top of barge style ships.
Yeah.
Those have been used the whole time too for transportation. But
Those are used
what's
during
really
wartime.
crazy is people are thinking America is going to pay to send all the witnesses down to Gitmo and everything's going to happen at Gitmo. There's hearing locations at Gitmo. But if we go back and look at that military accountability letter again, they said that even the military people are going to start with a court-martial process. They're going to lose their pensions. They explained everything in there because they were explaining the law. And they knew that these officers that they named in that one paragraph and many more had already committed treason.
Yeah. Like Mark Kelly, you get a pension. So you commit treason, you're going to lose your pension and probably something else. So that's what's going to happen to him. That's very
well, and
obvious.
trying to deny his words. Sir, you need to take a class on the Constitution. What you guys chose to do, in even just putting those little videos together, you were in trouble.
Yeah.
Before you even said anything, because it's the intent to operate against us. Then remember the wording in the sedition, it's the words, your speech, and your actions. He didn't stop. He wants other people to join him. They all want other people to join him.
Sure.
And they're telling people, don't be following orders from these people. And that's why it was so great that you gave the background on. It is in the military. It is in the documentations. It is what all of the military people agreed to is you don't follow unlawful orders.
Yeah.
And it's been tough on a lot of the military guys trying to, because it's just like the FBI. Stephen Friend, I'll never forget. It was emotional for him. He wanted to be the best FBI agent he could be. But the only people getting raises and promotions were the ones operating against the law and against the Constitution and against Americans.
Yeah.
How does this get you raises and promotions? He couldn't understand it till I told him it's on your building, the Hoover building, because a Hoover has the address of the original lodge castle of those 2 blocks in DC of the first Knights of Pythias Lodge in DC.
Wow. Wow. And
So,
I've seen a lot of officers over the years, get advanced. And once I left the military, I was a contractor for the military and trying to set up different stuff for the military to save them money. And I would see some of these former generals come in and they'd have their like Gucci shoes on and everything. And I'm, just a dude, trying to give the military great contracts. And the group that I was with, we presented, and the guy that was in charge of, requisitioning who got the contract, told us later, after we didn't get the contract, we brought a great contract that would have saved the government tons of money. He told us, in which he wouldn't have normally have done, but because we did such a great job, he says, I was told, I picked you guys, and I was told that those guys were going to get it. And
Wow.
yeah, so I've seen this corruption, in the military, outside the military, and now I'm seeing it on a level that I've never seen it before. So it doesn't surprise me that we're going to see a monumental pushback, maybe starting tonight.
Well, I've already seen a shift. I've seen a shift in the freedom of communication. I've seen a shift in the people acknowledging that they're really getting that this is not going to be a quick process. Because so many people are like, even this morning, I received one. And when we go through the Twitter stuff, we can go into this.
Okay.
We get hope and then it get dashed. And then
Yeah.
you get more hope and then it's dashed again. Well, and I just said, feelings aren't going to get you anywhere. That's how a PSYOP works. The whole thing about a PSYOP is get you to be focused on the wrong things, to be having feelings about horrible things, and it's all manipulation in order to direct the crowd.
Yep.
All of this. And so, but that's why if you participate in it, you could go down the slippery slope of sedition into treason. All these people trying to create a different America. There's somebody trying to create a different California. There's somebody trying to create different state structures. There's somebody trying to do nation state. There's somebody trying. We are a republic for America. That's how we were founded. We pledge our allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands.
Yeah.
So do you want it? Do you want that to fly? I mean, I've even had people write to me and say, when it's the national anthem, why are you people putting your hands on your hearts? And I said, for the dedication and the commitment. We know what happened that night when he wrote that song. Well, I don't know what you mean. It's just a national anthem. I said, it's our country.
Yeah.
And we're honoring those who stood, because that night they were trying to kill the rest of the men, and it was the women and the children in the fort. You remember that night? And it's in the song. And as that battle went on, he said it, and the words are in the song. So if you listen to the words and not just, oh, here's the national anthem again. If you listen to the words and then understand the story of it could have all been over. But in the midst of that horrific battle, with few people in the fort to protect themselves, the guys that were out in the armada, out in the water, the flag never went down.
Yep.
The flag stood through all of it, and it stands for our republic. So we stand for our republic. And to me, put my hand on my heart for the pledge, and I put my hand on my heart for the allegiance to our country in that. And I just don't know why someone would question that. It's just really crazy. But I'm drifting off. Let me get back to treason. So in treason is the ultimate betrayal in one's country, defined as levying war against it or giving its enemies aid and comfort. And there's not a single person that we wish would have been perp walked who doesn't fit this category. I don't want him perp walked and the local police putting him somewhere, because let me give you the background on this. When Durham did the cases and you look at the pleadings, it's Hillary Clinton involved this DA with this sheriff, with these 3 police officers, it's a net of these people. So even if we waste our time doing that, and then we try and get them to court in front of judges that never even took an oath or don't want to follow the law or won't follow the law anyway, just like these men at Department of Corrections. If those men at Department of Corrections don't even know the law. Why are they in a legal facility operating with people about the law? This is what's crazy, because everybody's learned to just listen to what somebody tells them to do and do it. Follow the orders. So anyway, involving acts like overthrowing the government, materially helping enemies. Look at all of the examples we've already heard about that. Punishable by severe penalties, including death, long imprisonment, but conviction requires high evidence, like 2 witnesses to the same act, to prevent misuse against political opposition. So you can't just go after somebody. You've got to know that, because even if they had the intent to do it, but they didn't commit the actions, they didn't say it, commit the actions. Remember, sedition, it's your speech and your actions. So when they keep denying it, when they keep saying that it didn't matter, when uranium one doesn't matter, when the Russian hoax doesn't matter, look what that cost us. And that whole thing was created with their money at Georgia Tech in Atlanta, Georgia. It didn't even exist in real time or real space. I mean, the things that we've been putting up with, the things that we have now found out about and witnessed, that there isn't anybody on the list, I'm sure, of the people you're thinking of. And I pretty much know the people you're thinking of because I hear about them every day. Why isn't something happened to this one? Why isn't something happened to this one? And their names have not faded from anyone's memory. But have you seen them? Have you witnessed anyone talking to them? They still think some of these people are in control, but have you seen them? Have you heard anything from them? You remember when Christopher Wray went to all the offices and he was going to straighten everything up and get everything cleaned up, and now we find out that he lied about everything on J6? I mean, we don't know who these people really are. We have to rely on people like Kash Patel. Why do you suppose they're trying to destroy him? People like Pam Bondi. Why do you suppose they're trying to destroy her? They came in, and a lot of the evidence that that the people destroyed before President Trump's team came in, they didn't understand we already had it. We'd already captured it. Cheyenne Mountain is still locked up. Cheyenne Mountain found the communication system that they were using, which is completely separate from our communication system. And I have not talked with anyone about this on the team, but I'm willing to bet you, and I'm not a true betting person, but I'm willing to bet you that the very day that lockdown and President Trump was there, they showed him that communication process, and now they were able to get to the bottom of this. And yet, look what that took from, that was March 20 of 20, I believe.
Yep.
And from that date to the Dick Cheney date was a long time of investigating all those 24 layers of people under him. And then when his death was announced, it was a nice thing. It was an unusual thing. But flags went half-staff 17 days later, the day of his funeral. So if that was the day of his funeral, or if that was the day of his death when they announced it.
Sure.
Because there's things, people keep wanting to know what's happening. We don't need to know what's happening. We just need to stay tight with the Father and thank him that the people who can make a change in this country are making those changes. Because this evil, like I said many times, it goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. There has never been a time. And to imagine now that we had no idea in this generation or the previous many generations, all those Civil War soldiers knew what they were fighting for, that we're just finding out now. And that's why the South was fighting, because the infiltration was coming in from the North. The Monroe Doctrine was about that infiltration that was bringing tyranny into America in 1820. He did that report to Congress. President Jefferson, Adams, Monroe, all taken out because they fought this fight for us. Abraham Lincoln learned the truth, and the Civil War still happened, and he was taken out. Kennedy found out from Eisenhower that it wasn't resolved. So Kennedy tried to tell us, and in the midst of that, he was taken out. This is not a simple process. And it's not, what we get cleaned up now, it's going to take maybe 4 decades
That's what I
to
thought.
get all the layers cleaned up, because the tentacles of this evil are everywhere. It's in a, well, if we just, there's one example I did today, and let me see if I can, you guys, we've been doing the 45 points, but I just put less than 25% out. I put from point 13 to point 33, because 33, they love that number. Point 13 is avoid all loyalty oaths. None of these people that we think are so profound and representing us, and the judges and all these people that we're supposed to admire and honor, they haven't been taking an oath to the Constitution on purpose. Avoid all loyalty oaths. Number 14, foreign access to U.S. Patent Office. And I sent one example in the book because I found it back in the Georgia Guidestones. At the same time the Georgia Guidestones were being erected and connected with concrete mortar between the granite pieces, a guy in France gets a U.S. Patent Office approval on doing those connecting pieces with our blood to illuminate. They say because Christ is the light of the world and his light's in us. And then believers were killed back in ancient times, right after Christ died. Oh, you think you're the light of the world? And they put them up on sticks and burn them at night to light the streets. That illumination is being used in the concrete in the tunnels. And the guys from France that created that patent. Number 15, capture political parties. They did that. Number 16, use courts to weaken American institutions. That's why federal judges have to, and state judges have to follow the orders. Number 17, control schools, teachers, and books. Number 18, control student newspapers. 19, student riots to public protests. 20, control press, editorials, book reviews. 21, control the media. 22, discredit American culture. 23, control art. Number 24, eliminate obscenity laws. Number 25, direct cultural standards of morality. That's why in 1992, Bush, Sheriff, 41 president, brought in the Babylonian Talmud Noahide laws and said those were the laws that were the basis of our morality and our culture and our civil society in America. It was the 10 Commandments. It was never based on Babylon. And so then in 93, under a completely new Congress, under Clinton, they did it again and expanded the Noahide laws into the education system. And if you look back at our time frame, when did all the lawsuits start? When they were removing the 10 Commandments from schools, public buildings, courtrooms, anywhere where anyone could see it, and saying they were going to put Baphomet statues in, even in Oklahoma Capitol. So you can look these cases up online. They're easy to find. So after they did that, then the next one, 26, present what is to be called normal. They've been deciding to tell us what is normal in this country. 27, infiltrate all churches and discredit the Bible. They've done that too.
Oh, yeah.
28, eliminate prayer in schools. 29, discredit America Constitution. 30, discredit the founding fathers. They're doing that all the time. I now am getting new videos that President Abraham Lincoln and his entire family were big mafia people, and that's why they had to take him out. I'm not kidding, guys. It just doesn't stop. And then 31, discourage American history. 32, support socialism for centralized control. And 34, eliminate all laws against communism. That is only 10 of 45. That's not even 1/4 of what they did to us. And we ended up accepting all of this and proceeding as though life could ever come back to any kind of normal.
Crazy. Yeah, you've done a good job of outlining a lot of this stuff. How much of that do you think President Trump in his emergency broadcast tonight will be talking about?
Well, everybody thinks I'm talking with Trump. Everybody thinks I'm making sure Juan talks about all these things. Guys, there's a way of communicating that we've talked about. I think we even did the little 4-minute, 30-second Hebrew where the letter is 1, the number is 2, the pictograph is 3. You're in 3 dimension if you know those. And then 4 is when you put the letters together for the word. And 5 is when you go to the Father, because every one of the words have multiple definitions. And so when you're communicating it, you have to know the definition that the Father is giving you for that word. And so that's how we're operating. And I reached a point when I was doing the book that President Trump was answering, and I said, guys, you got it to him within 24 hours, and nobody gave it to him. And he's answering me. Do you see what I mean? It's so
I
everybody
get that a
thinks,
lot too. I'll talk
yeah,
about something, and the next day he talks about it. It's like,
yeah.
wow, we're just tapped in.
That's the fifth dimension.
Yeah.
That's it's not about chess. And he's probably a great chess player. And they said Baron's even better. And that's awesome. I haven't played it in so many years. I wouldn't even want to guess how much I could do on a chess game now.
I'm the same. Yeah.
But I'm so grateful that we're able to witness these days, because this is just, it's miraculous. It's absolutely miraculous what is happening in our country in these hours. This is something that we're witnessing. This has never happened in all of history. The guys have said that the soldiers tried, the Q team has tried since Abraham Lincoln 6, 7 times, and it always gets thwarted, but several lives were lost.
Yeah.
And this time he's been keeping us at peace. He's been keeping our guys safe. And what he said about Syria, he means it. He means it. You're not, the retaliation against you guys for what you did to 2 soldiers and a civilian, I'm not letting this rest. And this is the difference in being a true leader.
Yeah.
It's not just America first. It's not just our nation has to be first, and other nations want me to tell them when it's going to happen for them, what's the president's going to do for them. Guys, I don't have a red phone to the president. But I can honestly tell you that he's doing everything he can, because as a world, we have to be united. Because they'll swoop in anywhere where there's a vulnerable, it's like an Achilles heel. And America became an Achilles heel. They were using us as a world order since 1871, when they made us a corporation. We have never been free. We've never had a day of liberty. And people think they're doing great, and we just need to get great back. We never were great. We were always enslaved. We were always required to follow their rules and regulations that we were supposed to have a voice about. Anybody who's tried to apply for a permit, who's a legal American, knows that you can't do half of the things that illegals have been able to do in this country. The whole identity theft thing. And now you're finding out they've all been getting thousands of dollars a month on Social Security with no work record. How does Social Security calculate your work record and give you a Social Security payment when your birth date doesn't even exist yet, because you weren't even born yet according to the birth date you submitted?
Yep.
And Elon Musk found all of this out. And when you're 200 and 300 years old and nobody checks, because the people who had that Social Security number, because we haven't even had the system that long, we haven't even been a nation beyond 250 years. We're just hitting into it now. Guys, well, how does this make sense? And they're like, well, they shouldn't be receiving these benefits. What bothers me is, how are they calculating it? There's been no sense to these people getting thousands of dollars a month, when people who've worked their whole lives are getting 1,000 or 1,200 or 1,500 and feeling fortunate because they're legal people. And it just, how do they calculate it? So the amount of evil, the amount of corruption, the amount of fraud that has gone on, they're just trying to give you examples to say, guys, there wasn't anybody on our side that you thought was working for you.
Yeah.
You thought you could trust them. You thought they were honorable. They're not.
Yeah.
They just,
and all these illegal aliens that have come into, like, Minnesota, for just one example. And I think this is going on in every 50 states. It's got the same corruption going on, and money going from taxpayers into illegal coffers, not just here in the United States, but also terrorist organizations in Somalia. So that's being disclosed. And at first it was like $1 billion. Now they're looking at 10 billion. It's like it keeps growing. But this has been going on everywhere. And there's, like, I think 15 states, California, of course, one of them, New York, Illinois, several other states are going to vote to give free health care to illegal aliens. This is
in the state, because it didn't happen in the national.
Yeah.
They can't do it.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Do we want to start with Twitter? Because I've got 2 letters you're going to love. One from Linda McMahon to Governor Walz in Minnesota. That's just profound. And then Brick Rollins followed up. So it's the illegal money they were giving out for the education process to illegals who didn't even go to school here. And remember I kept trying to tell people about the student visas. I've been banging on that one since the 1980s, and nobody's cared. Nobody cared, nobody understood it. But they're getting all these scholarships and everything, and all these grants and free money, and our students can't get it. And it's billions of dollars. So there's a Linda McMahon 2-page letter, and then there's a Brooke Rollins 2-page letter.
So we'll scroll through here if you remember where they're at.
Okay.
God, you got so much great stuff in here.
It all was happening moment upon moment today.
This is back in December 15th, looks like.
MJ Truth.
MJ Truth. There was one up here that had Juan that I had started with.
Okay.
That?
I'll go to my Twitter feed because
yeah, you probably scroll through it faster. So there's
you're thinking I'm as technical as you, Jaco. I mean, that's a far reach. That's a far reach. But
no, I think
okay,
is a little bit more.
Brooke Rollins is 6 hours ago.
Oh,
So
okay.
you're 19 hours ago. So Brooke Rollins is 6 hours ago. I'm not kidding. I had 4 hours of sleep last night. And people go, "How's that?" And I said, "Got more than 3.5. I'm good to go." So laid down at 2 and got up at 6, and then all of this was hitting the fan.
Yeah, there's so much. And I was saying that, I use Twitter as well to basically.
If you scroll up, you'll see Megyn Kelly, and it's right before Megyn Kelly, because then I'll tell you about Ilhan Omar. Okay, it's right. Okay, it's right below Secretary Brooke Rollins, the SNAP program. So I don't know if you can expand it. She did a letter, 2-page letter. Linda McMahon did a 2-page letter on the education. So do you see where he's broken USC and the delivery of SNAP to illegals?
Yeah, it says right in here is hereby requiring Minnesota to participate in a supplemental nutrition assistance program pilot project conducted pursuant to 7 USC 2026 to increase the efficiency of SNAP and improve the delivery of SNAP benefits to eligible households. So
what they started doing, they were giving it to all these illegals in high amounts. And so the amount may be further down, but you see how these are directed straight to him. The one from Linda McMahon is the same way on the education system. So, but the Brooke Rollins should have a dollar figure. I see it's 7 USC again. Let me look at this one. Because Linda McMahon's is really high. And dereliction of duty. Oh my gosh, it's so fun to see all of this coming to pass. I've had a wonderful morning, needless to say, just a wonderful morning. Okay, what she's saying, upon review of the information obtained down on number 3, she's listing that the benefits went, and she names some of the households. And then they have the documentation and all the information that those people are not Americans. Now, if we stop on Megyn Kelly, you're going to love this one. Megyn Kelly, you see Ilhan Omar?
Right.
Ilhan Omar, when it didn't work that she married her brother, because that's what they did. They bought a fiance for $3,000. These guys have been doing this since the 80s. They buy a fiance while they're a freshman in college. They pay him $3,000. They say they marry him. Most of them it's never a marriage. And by the time they're ending their junior year, they get the divorce attorneys able to get the divorce to clear the record for them. And they make sure that the guy gets his green card before the divorce. Okay, then he's on his pathway to citizenship in America. So when Ilhan Omar announced that she married her brother, there's no evidence that that was legally done. So now she's been saying, and I don't know if people followed, she shifted her story to be that she was naturalized under her father because her father was naturalized. And do you know what she did? She lied about her birth date. She put her birth date back a year in order to qualify. And her dad's records don't show anything about Ilhan Omar coming to America and being naturalized under him. So when he did it, it was just him. So that doesn't even include the brother. I mean, just saying, but the focus is Ilhan Omar. And so all of this being true, she can be denaturalized, deported, fined, imprisoned. I mean, there's a gamut of things that can happen with her right now. Now, all of these things have been true since she's been here,
Yeah.
but nobody's put the deal together in order to handle her. They've let it all happen. Then Talib. And who did she replace? Keith Ellison, the first guy that said that he wanted to use the Quran of President Jefferson because President Jefferson was a Muslim. That's a lie. When he read the Quran, and guys, this is historical, and I know they're changing history in all of the books, but that's why they want to discredit all of our American history, so we don't know how we founded. He created the Marines, sent them to Tripoli to take care of this situation with how they were operating, and the Marine hymn includes that our guys will even go to the shores of Tripoli to protect this nation.
Right.
That's who our Marines are, and people didn't understand it. And so if you didn't understand about the slave trade, the sex trafficking, the abuse and torture of people, that was all happening because they felt they were in control, and people mean nothing to them. Again, the other kingdom is death. There's only one kingdom that's life and truth. And that kingdom is the father of all. That's it. We have one father of all, and you can choose. And that's why Elijah said, and all 850 prophets who said, no, follow what I'm telling you, follow what, all 850 prophets were false prophets, couldn't get their gods to do one thing. And so what Elijah did, you can go and look this up in scripture, he kept saying, pour water on it, pour water on it, pour water on it, because it was to bring fire to sweep it up. And so they're like, oh, more water, more water. He's God isn't going to do anything either. And with all of that water on it, the fire occurred, licked it all up, completely dry. And that's the difference between operating in truth with a living Lord and operating with dead gods. This was just a funny quote. This is from the president, and it's 687,274 people illegally came across our border from May to November 23, and May to November 25, 0. He came in January. We really haven't had anyone coming in since January, but it took a while to get the whole thing, the spigot turned off. But since May, 0. But now they're saying 4 million. I'm going to address this while we're here on this picture. Is that, remember when they said that during Biden's term, 4 million came into the country illegally?
Right.
Do you know why they said that? Social Security issued 3.9 plus new Social Security numbers with full benefits to 4 million people during the Biden term.
Good God. Wow.
And it's not 3.95, guys. It's like 3.942. You know, I mean, I don't remember all the other numbers, but 3.9 million. And that's why they're saying almost 4 million came in while he was here. And people witnessed how heavy the invasion was. And in my nation restoration book, when I was writing the second identity theft law, and I still want people to know it was supposed to be the home identity theft law to prove to my family what I was fighting. But in that, I studied all of this, and the details were documented. There were crimes committed against American business owners, homeowners is who they were targeting, in the tune of 4.5 million in 98, 9.9 in 99, over a million. It just kept increasing. And then it went right up to 12 million a year. And that was happening by 2002. And what the Federal Trade Commission, and this is only the people that reported crimes, and I never knew the Federal Trade Commission was tracking anything. And so nothing that I dealt with ever went to the Federal Trade Commission. But and I know a lot of people that I've met who got stuck with the bad credit, and they didn't know where to file either. And people lost their credit lines for their businesses, their equity lines in their homes. It was a mad situation against Americans. It was, nobody could heal or cure. And so when this happened, And they did all of this to us. This was the report, and all of the facts are in the press release that came straight from the Federal Trade Commission, and it's in my Nation Restoration book. 27.3 or 0.8 million cases were filed between 98 and 2002. So I think we had a few more than 4 million that came in, and I think they're getting that number off of that.
Yeah.
So it was a real active morning. Okay, here's that picture of Santa. Now, and I said, do you remember the rally? And there's the hammer. And let's see, what was the other part? Because there's a hammer.
Painting and focus on the screen. Specific point was made. Remember. See if we
It's
get
the hammer, and it's signed by Q.
Oh, right.
Is it Q plus? I think it's Q plus, because
Which-
now everybody's putting A up, but Q plus is the president. He has signed things for some of the people in Gideon's army, and say he has signed things and given pictures back to the people. And when he signs the back, right under President Trump's name, he puts a big Q and then a little plus sign. But now if we scroll down, what does this mean? What he's saying is this Christmas, we want justice.
Yep. Well, looks like we're going to get it. Looks like tonight we're going to talk
Exactly.
about it. So
Exactly. And we can keep scrolling down. This was such a busy morning. I've got so much on here for you
good.
because we've only seen Brooke Rollins. So as we keep scrolling down, I've never put this much out there because that's Elon. And then this is Brooke Rollins. And then before that, it was the Tina Peters. The truth is like a lion. You don't need to defend it. Just set it free and it will defend itself. And this is a true video about Tina Peters and what she went through. And this is on her website.
Wow.
Because she was prompted to get an audit. So she got an audit because she's supposed to prove up the election. And what they have refused to do, and Juan's been talking about this, it's law that every election is a federal election. Every one of those reports from the people like a Tina Peters, every county has a Tina Peters person. That person is required to send the exact information to the House of Representatives. It's held with the House of Representatives. Do you know that they've just completely obliterated and forgotten all about, but it's required. So she followed the requirements, and when she told them what was happening, then she became the criminal, and she's never committed a crime. In all of this, she never committed a crime. And there's still a question, how did her Navy SEAL son die? The what?
I don't know if, yeah, speaking of her Navy SEAL son. So I don't know if it's going to come out because Juan and I both are very suspect about his death. Tina won't come out openly about it. But I think that Tina is involved a lot deeper than than we know. And I think that she's involved with maybe military types that are at some point they were protecting her best they could, but I guess she had to go into this system and go through this.
I don't know that this was a setup like that. I've been fortunate to be on platform with her. She had always wanted to interview me. The schedule just never worked out. When we were in Reawaken in August of 23 in Las Vegas at the Trump, she was having trouble. They weren't going to let her take a flight. And I said, look, I can either go through Denver and go back to Georgia, a little bit higher than what I planned on, but I'm in Vegas. You know what I mean? So you hit the 40 instead of the 20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was going to do that. And at the last moment, because I waited all day, and at the last moment, they finally let her take the flight. That's how her life has been. That's how horrific this has been for her. So I can't even imagine what it's been like to go through what she has gone through. But I've had whisperings, and I'm nobody. I've had whisperings that now that I'm on the other side of it, and I don't know what that means because I'm still being attacked in different ways. But now that I'm on the other side of it, and maybe I survived that targeting at Lynn Wood's event and the other 5 speakers died. I don't know what I'm on the other side of, but they said now that you've gone through that depth of a struggle, it's going to be a little bit more comfortable for you. And I turned and said, comfortable as in, and I got a wink. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't mind if they're watching out for me. I don't mind if people go, oh my God, are you being surveilled? If it's the good guys, I don't care. You know what I mean? I've already been surveilled by the other guys. I've already been dealt with by the other guys, but I don't care if it's the good guys, because the white hats are willing to sacrifice their life to protect us. And that's what our military has done for decades. So, and now this one is really, really great. The Democrat Party, through Biden and Harris terrorist administration, bribed $6 billion in American taxpayer money to a network of the United Nations agencies and over 200 NGOs to take down and overthrow the constitutional republic. Can you imagine how many names are on that list?
Wow.
I mean, where we're at, and people, I want something to happen. I want something to happen. Guys, you have no idea. Every one of these networks are going down. And how do you restrain them all and capture them all and hold them all? And do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
But to try and say there's nothing happening, can you imagine the level of research to get this kind of information that's happening in the UN?
Hmm.
And that's why President Trump, and I think I've mentioned this before, I don't know if we've talked about it, but President Trump, remember when they said they had to remodel the UN building in New York because of asbestos, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how I caught it. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and maybe it's still on C-SPAN. It wasn't when he was in front of Congress about it. It's when he met with the committee members about it. And there were just a few committee members in the room, and they were asking him questions. And he said, it's New York real estate. We don't want these people with diplomatic pouches and immunity on our soil. So why don't you put them out off of our land, and you'll more than pay for where you put the UN, because you're going to make more than that for that New York real estate because you don't know what you're doing. And they said, well, what do you mean? He'd already investigated the whole thing. And I'm sharing parts of this, but the numbers were really high. And they were something like already $60 million over the budget of what they were going to spend, because every time the Italian architect, not an American architect, an Italian architect sends them the plans, they make changes, and he charges them another 4, 5, 6 million. And then they make changes again. It continued and continued and continued. Now, fast forward, because the president said we've got to, and we do, we have to stop them being on our soil. We have to stop their diplomatic immunity in those pouches. There's one guy from Egypt that I turned in. I was one of the people helping to turn him in San Diego. He was providing the complete document package to make you look like you're an American. And he was selling it to people, but he was bringing it into America in diplomatic pouches. So all the effort to get him to the district court in San Diego, they fined him $1,500. He gets 5,000 a packet, and they fined him $1,500 and didn't even deport him.
Wow.
And that's back. I mean, that's back in the 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so as you look at what's happening,
San Diego is still a little bit conservative, but now they've completely gone.
Well, they're still conservative. You're not. They're uniting, and LA's even got big sections uniting. I mean, to take over Santa Monica Pier, I mean, unheard of. To take over the entire park area all along the ocean, right below the Marine Corps base in Oceanside, unheard of. This kind of stuff has never happened before with the numbers of people, because they realize if you don't stand up and you don't unite, and that's what I've been emphasizing in interviews everywhere, is that if we don't unite in this truth and we don't take a stand, it's going to take longer, because we're upset with what they're doing. We can't do what our military and president are doing. We can't do what Kash Patel is doing, Pam Bondi is doing, but everybody's focused there because they want something done by those people. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're doing that what we need to do is we need to unite in truth and not let them come against us. And that's why I said, did we really do anything for Tina Peters? Because people are complaining, you know, we made all these calls to the president and we still didn't have a pardon. How many days did it take to get a pardon? Guys, it's a presidential pardon. And how many of us called? When the Brunsons tried to get people to send letters to the Supreme Court, 60,000. And we have something like 340 million people in America, and we got 60,000 letters. So are the Americans really wanting a change? Are Americans really wanting to unite together? Do we really want the truth and live in it? So we have a responsibility in this, because everything about a republic is we the people in order to form a more perfect union. It all comes down to us. All comes down to us. And I had no idea that I would be writing about this. And I had no idea set the 3 books aside and write a training manual. I mean, training manual for future generations, when a lot of the material has been updating the whole 10 years I've been writing all these books. So, oh, we're scrolling by some really important ones. I'm sorry. I need to
I
catch
mean,
up with you.
you outlined some of this already. We can go a little bit more detail about the numbers. So yeah,
Okay. Now,
I agree with you. This is gonna be something that's gonna be epic tonight and decisive.
everything they're doing is for the sake of America's future. For the sake of America is the whole focus of this. Because if we don't do this right, it's not about the grandchildren, it's about the children. We can't make it to the grandchildren level if we don't do this right. They took us over within 3 years. 3 years from George Washington being inaugurated. We were fully taken over with centralized banks, the move to DC, the taken over, and with the party, Democratic National Socialist Party. They wanted to be the only party. And to this day, it really doesn't matter. They are the only party because everybody's in the uniparty. So, but when Cat Turd put this out and then I put it out, people said, oh my God, President Trump said that way back. It doesn't matter when he said that. Tonight's going to be big. And he is always telling it like it is. And as I've said, there's nothing President Trump has said that has come out of his mouth that is not the truth and come to pass. So when he's telling us these are the things we're focused on, then that's what we're going to be focused on.
Nice.
And then this one, probable cause. Oh, you know what they found out? They knew and told themselves they had no probable cause to go into Mar-a-Lago and do the raid.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All of this just got released too from Chuck Grassley. So this letter is available for people to go through because it describes all of it. And they knew before they did it that was the case. They knew they had no right, no probable cause in order to do that.
So again, like we talked
So,
about, possible treason charges for a lot of these people.
yes. And then it's for everybody in there, everybody that participated, everybody knowingly. This was pretty amazing. The president has started a Mexican border defense medal ceremony. He's honoring all the warriors that are struggling through all of this at the border, and honoring them one by one.
Oh, that's so good.
And I can't wait till we do the Garden of Heroes. And can you imagine how big that's going to be? This is so cool because the real truth people have never been honored. We've shown the picture of the elites honoring each other. They give each other the Nobel Prizes. They give each other the laureate, poet laureates. All of it goes to people in the club.
Yep.
And so he has turned the corner on absolutely everything. And Pete Hegseth, I was going to mention about going back to Secretary of War, but I think I've got one in here honoring them. So maybe it's one of the next few.
One of the things I saw that he's doing is he's basically downsizing. We talked about how he brought them all in for a meeting, and he's downsizing the military because there are way too many officers, high-ranking officers.
Well, and everybody that's been making everybody follow their orders when they're not lawful orders is doing what? They're knowingly operating against our Constitution.
Yep.
So, and starting with the military, because it's the military that's going to clean up the justice system. You can't clean up the justice system without having a clean military. So that had to happen first. And it's in that military accountability letter that they're going to stop the two-tiered justice system. So this is where he brought these generals in, and this is what is so amazing. The fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. He signed an executive order, and then they started listing. Did you realize who's in the room with him? And they started listing the key guys who've been fighting absolutely everything and had been restricted and restrained their entire time until they said, this is what we could clean up. Should we go do it? And they were given permission to go do it. And this is why I thought it was so profound. And people didn't realize we used to be the Department of War. We weren't the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
And the thing that I sent it out how many times, and I can send it, I'll send it to you on Twitter again. Remember when I was targeted, and then because I went through all the layers of it and found the patent. On the patent, it gives credibility to the Department of Defense. The 6 grants that went to NIH Fauci to create it with the Department of Defense. And a percent of interest in this is held by the government. That's what Jefferson fought in 1791 when they brought in the centralized banks. He said, our government, per our Constitution, can't have a percent of any business. Not a bank, not anybody, because this is what they did in Europe, and they came to do it here. And Jefferson tried to stop it. So did Adams. Look what happened to them. Monroe said, you're bringing everything in that they did over there. He did that in 1820. We were only a country 30 years by 1820. So we've gone through, I think we didn't we do before we're self-governing? Did we do that one? I think 43.43. This is what they did. And so the guys that fought it, they just eliminated him just gave him an extra dose of arsenic because that was the medicine at the time.
Wow.
That's how they took out King George III, the architect, in 1820, when Monroe was doing this, and they were trying to get the Native Americans on the other side of the Mississippi, because you can't have those people tell the people coming in what the truth is so that they align with them. You've got to get them out of the way so they align with you. And this has been their process the whole time. That's why they're bringing all these people in from everywhere now, and they don't care how many of us die, because this has been their process. You just recycle and bring in people who are going to align with you and not with the truth.
Right.
So the pattern is clear. And this is the president where he signed that executive order to stop funding migrant shelters and establish the National Center for Warrior Independence. I mean, I had tears when I saw this come through, because what he's going to do is use the funds to combat veteran homelessness and help veterans. How long have we waited for this? How long have we waited for this? I mean, it's just San Diego and the veterans are so proud of what they want to come help people, and they have nothing. And that's who they still are. And their families, because they weren't war heroes, didn't believe what their stories were, just like nobody believed my story in my family, except my dad. And so when you come through these things, but they are so honorable. And you can pick out of all the homeless people, you can pick out exactly who's had military background and is one of our vets without them saying a word. It's so profound, and you want to try and help them, and they don't want focus on themselves. They're okay. They'll get by. You see what I mean? It's so profound, and they shouldn't have to live like that when all of these, I mean, why are our hotels they've all been full. I'm always told we're sold out tonight, and the prices go up well over 200 at the entry level Hampton that used to be 99 max a night. And now you pay over 200 just to get a room, if you can get a room, because they're constantly sold out. But Hilton sold, and they franchised and sold them all to the Chinese. So we've got a lot of things that we have to deal with, and I can't express all of the layers, but I'm just trying to help people hear some of them so you can understand how the depth of this is. Now, this is the other wonderful thing that Linda McMahon did. The Trump administration is formally demanding the resignation of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz due to massive fraud and dereliction of duty. She caught Minnesota engaging in massive fraud, and I think it's billions of dollars. I don't know how much we can expand the letter, but when you look at this whole process, but the same Tim Walz that Brooke Rollins is putting on notice. And so, guys, please don't think it's just going to be these governors. because you remember Pompeo made one comment. He held up a piece of paper, and it was about the governors. And I thought it was strange at the time. And he said, just so you know, we know. And that's how it started. And he took a big pause, and it was at a governor's meeting, I think at the White House back in the 2017 term. And so the president's there, Pompeo's there, and he said, the list I'm looking at, it has categories. We know who's totally sold out to China. We know who's willing to do whatever China wants him to do. And we know who is not already moving forward with China. Which category are you in? And we know, so we trust you know. And that was just like, whoa. And the next thing you know, Brian Kemp, because I was in Georgia at the time that this announcement came out, Brian Kemp, they showed all of his economic development meetings with China in China and here in America.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It all got revealed in like a 48, 72-hour time period.
And they donated his campaigns and everything. It was like that was revealed. And I was like, how is he still governor? It's like incredible.
Well, how is he? They flipped the record. The person who won got the 4%. He got the 77%.
Wow.
That's how it happened. And everybody knows it. That's why Raffensperger, you pretty much told the president off. You can't question who I am or what I'm doing, remember?
Yeah. And
Because
he got
again,
money from the Chinese as well. So
yeah.
both of them. So I
Mhm.
guess they're going to have their day in court, I guess, too.
Well, remember Loeffler? She had a picture of Mao, a big painting of Mao in the foyer of her home.
Loeffler did?
Yeah,
Wow.
and it was on her video. Thought
Jeez.
we wouldn't notice. Thought we wouldn't notice. It was on her campaign video.
Huh.
And when the election came about, it was Doug Collins and David Perdue who won. Then we spent 400 million of the 800 million to stop the steal.
Right.
400 million of the Republican Party money supposedly went to a January revote for those two positions, and the two Democrats won.
It's crazy.
How does this even happen? Do you see what I mean? But I witnessed it. I was here at the time in Georgia. So with Walls, it's supposed to show the amount of money, and it's huge. It's billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And because he's been paying all these illegals all their benefits and everything else, and he's been approving it. So he's been proving all the education money to bring in these people on student visas, which brings all these young people in who are getting trained. Our military's even found out where they're being trained and how they're being trained to take us over. And remember when they had the Somali president here, and Ilan Omar was up at the podium, and she was saying, "We love you. You are our president," and da 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 da. Right? Well, the man, I don't remember the name, but you guys can look it up, who is the official in Minnesota, in the Minneapolis area, probably in the state office, or council, wherever he is in the government in Minnesota. They raided his house. And do you know why they raided his house? He has all the our guys had all the communications. He's been communicating, and Minnesota is the hub of taking over America right after the 26th election. And when they found all of this communication, they went in and did the raid on the house. And the raid on his house was almost exactly 7 days after the raid on Zelensky over in Ukraine and his secretary of the government. When they raided all their mansions, because they each had a few, just like the Ukrainian generals that had all these mansions when the Palisades fire happened. Okay. So they went through raided their mansions and offices. And then it was almost exactly 7 days later. So you can look it up in that time frame to research it. And this official in Minnesota was the guy doing all the communications. And he said, we just have to be patient a little longer because we are all set up that immediately after the 26 elections, we will be able to take over America.
Oh my God. So this is a good point. Like you've described, and I've been describing as well, they have to gather tremendous amounts of information. And it's not just here in the United States, it's worldwide. So when they do these coordinated hits, it takes out a lot of different areas all at once. If they did just one, then all the other ones would wrap up and close down and disappear. So that's why they have to like take their time, get everybody in. Imagine all the people that were involved in these raids. Just
On all the people
figuring
that
out
they've brought in for free, and we've been paying to have the enemy brought here.
Oh
We've
yeah.
been paying on these student visa people. They've been given money every month. And that's what Linda McMahon is explaining in this.
Yeah. Well,
And
even
that,
that's like, not AI created students, ghost
yes,
students,
go students, 12.5
1,834
million.
ghost students.
Yeah.
They received 12.5 million taxpayer money. Now, I'm not fond of Social Security
Mm-hmm.
because I think it was from a communist, FDR, creating
Mm-hmm.
a communist system, and he seized
Mm-hmm.
all the gold and the silver so he could,
Mm-hmm.
manipulate the economy and all that kind of stuff. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people were like really scared that the government's going to seize their gold and silver again. No, we don't
Mm-hmm.
have a communist controlled government, guys. Don't worry about
Mm-hmm.
that. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to happen. But this is the stuff they do. They come in
Mm-hmm.
and seize, through lawfare and so forth, seize people's property and so forth all
Mm-hmm.
around the country. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a big pushback, and it's countrywide and sometimes
Yes.
worldwide because there's money that's going around the world as well.
Well, and they're operating outside. If we go into the next paragraph, to stop ghost students, we at the Department of Education implemented enhanced fraud controls, such as mandatory identity verification for certain first-time student applicants. Our new fraud prevention system has now blocked more than 1 billion in attempted financial aid theft by fraudsters, including coordinated international fraud rings and AI bots pretending to be students.
Now look at that, $1 billion in just this short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows when they started that, that stopped, blocked it. But how many years has it been going on? Month after month after month after month of billions and billions and billions of dollars being stolen.
Yes,
Wow.
I had meetings in Minneapolis the end of October.
Oh, great.
Almost every community is overtaken by Somalis, and they won't cooperate with anybody, and
Oh,
they
no.
won't integrate with anybody.
No.
Now, we need to go because that's not even page two. That's just page one. That's
Wow.
just page one. There's page two from Linda. So, guys, these are all out there on Twitter. And if you want, I'll forward some of these to you, Mike. Um, show me a man that gets rich by being a politician, and I'll show you a crook.
And how many of our politicians have got rich?
All
Uh,
of them.
all of them. There
All
may
of
be
them.
one or two, I don't know, maybe a handful. I keep saying there's maybe 10 in the Senate, 10 in the House, but I think I may be overstating. But it seems like all of them have, done insider trading. They come in like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She comes in with like, under $1 million, and now she's got like
Mm-hmm.
25, 27
Mm-hmm.
million dollars after 5 years, and she's going to retire on January 1st or January 3rd, which is 2 days after once she hits that 5 year mark, she gets uh, once she retires at some point, I think 62, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
she gets lifetime income after that.
Mm-hmm. But when was Keith Ellison? I don't remember the year that he was sworn in, but Keith Ellison became the Elon Omar, and then Talib added in the other seat. Do you see what I mean? And
Yeah,
so the takeover of America has happened right in front of our eyes.
yeah.
And these are war crimes. When you come in with the intent to overthrow, and that's what he said, we just need to be patient a little while longer because right after we're all set, right after the 2026 election to overthrow the government.
I
How
love
dare
this
they?
right here. Only traitors support invaders.
Yep.
So all of these, same thing, senators,
Mm-hmm.
governors, mayors, so forth, that have been supporting these invaders,
Mm-hmm.
they're traitors. Wow.
Well,
But,
governors and judges harboring these illegals.
yeah,
Remember the one about the famous
very cities.
judge
Yeah,
case that's going on now? The ICE just informed her that we've got a guy, he's going to be in your courtroom at this time. We just want to let you know in advance that this is what we're going to do. What does she do? She gets him out the back door to
yeah.
protect him from our ICE agents. And the same thing has happened with a governor, a judge, and a senator, where they've had illegals living in the apartments, pool houses, uh, rooms over garages in their own properties.
Right.
They're harboring them. But that's what's going on, and nobody wants to give up their maids or their employees that they've had for all these years, because now they're so tied with the family. We don't want to lose the family. They came here illegally and they chose, and that's what President Trump said way back in 2017. If you really want to be in America, then go through the process. None of these people that came in illegally chose to go through the process. And people are still feeling sorry for him. These are all responses, I think, to walls. Those aren't the next things that I said, oh, but they're kind of fun, aren't they?
Great. They're doing it again because you didn't hang them last time. I love that one.
Yeah. I love what people come up with,
Yeah.
It's just like, don't rewrite the Constitution, just reread the Constitution. I love this. I love this stuff. And we've got so many great memes. Now, here is DeSantis, and he's been fighting to get rid of property taxes in Florida, because you've
Right.
already paid for your property. You don't owe taxes on it for the rest of your life. Because what's happening is the seniors in America, and nobody's helping them. By working with so many widows, it makes it even worse when they're a widow and the husband has passed. They can't afford on one Social Security payment to pay the taxes on the property that's been paid off for 20, 30 years. Do you know what I mean? And
Wow.
because they've stayed in the same house, kept all their bills low, and the property taxes are going up and going up, going up. Now, how did they do that? The pendulum has not swung back in America on house prices at all. It's constantly go up, go up, go up, go up. The
Yeah, everything.
patio homes that I helped, another author and speaker had cancer, and so I did all of her speaking engagements, because if you tell them you've got cancer, you don't get the speaking engagements, and she couldn't afford her medical bills.
Oh,
So I just did the speaking engagements for her. And so she let me, in her will, get this in trust, get this patio home. Well, this patio home kept going up and up and up and up. And there were people who were foreclosing when it was 145,000. Okay. Overnight, it was 450,000. Then it was 550,000. Then it was 600,000. And when 2008 hit, I couldn't stay. Now, do you know what they're selling for? 1.7 to 1.9. And they're a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
oh my God.
Do you see what I mean? 1.7 to 1.9 million. And all of that's happened since 2008.
Yeah, that's going to be a major housing crash, but that's good because
Mm-hmm.
housing's unaffordable for
Well,
most.
why did they let it happen? So that you couldn't afford your house.
Yeah.
And the property taxes, when they reassessed on the value of your house. And the pendulum has not swung back. That is
I
no
know.
real estate
You could be
movement has ever
taxed.
gone up and
Good,
up
good
and up
point. You
and
could
up.
be taxed on this home for
Uh-huh.
1.7,
Yeah.
and then the market crashes, and you've been
Yeah.
taxed all this time for years and years and years on a $1.7 million home,
Yeah.
however, as it goes up, and then it
Yeah.
crashes down to 300,000 again. Do you get that money back? No.
No. No.
It's
No.
insane. And then you
So
start to look where
this,
all the money went.
yep.
It was laundered all over the place
Well, and
for
that's what's
illegal
happening with
activities.
everything.
Yeah.
But now DeSantis has expanded it, and I know he got some help from the team, because he's
Yeah, he
expanded
did.
it to be the whole nation. No property taxes on homes to
It's
give
getting
home
ready to go
buyers.
full nation. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And then Wall Street Ape started following me, and then he gave me a big one. Donald Trump finally came out and said it. America and the world must stand against Islam. This has been the goal, to take over. They started with the belt of the world and then expanded from there. And they're having kids. They're having 10, 12, 15 kids in their family.
Yeah.
And so all nations must stand together against the evil forces of radical Islamic terrorism. And we're doing that. He's put the stake in the land, and we're not. This goes all the way back to Jefferson sending the Marines to Tripoli, on
Yeah.
the shores of Tripoli.
You can look this up. I saw this on a show last night. This guy was like talking about how this is coordinated by 2040.
Mm-hmm.
The world will be mostly inhabited by Muslims,
Mm-hmm.
and they will basically vote for these radical leftists and deep staters and so forth, and keep them in power.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's why the step has been made that he's cut all of their temporary visas. He's cut all of this. Remember when he kept talking about ch chain migration? So you get one family member in, then they come in on a student visa, visitor visa, and they stay. Then the guys come in on a tech visa. I mean, how many visas have we issued? Those people have never gone home.
Now,
That's how that guy in
when I was in
Iowa.
Pakistan
Yeah.
with the CIA, there was this one very wealthy family. They would fly over when the wife was close to having a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is throughout all their families. And once the wife had the baby, they did, healthcare in the United States and everything. Uh, they have an anchor baby. And then the whole
Mm-hmm.
family eventually comes in and gets their
Mm-hmm.
citizenship in the United States.
Well, I think they're dropping that too, because
Oh, got
immediately they
to.
gave the social security number to the baby and the whole family lived on the social security number.
Mm-hmm.
But this happened even in the nations that God sent me to. I traveled for 3 years to all these different nations, some I didn't even know the names of. And when they met me, they tried to come here and do the same thing. And do you know when I was contacted? They wanted to know how to get the social security number for the baby. And they just thought it was something people could do. And so they were going to do it. They had no idea what the consequences are of coming in with the intention to
Mm-hmm.
defraud America. And see, these people have never paid consequences for their intention. But again, it's your intention, your speech, and your actions. And when you add all those together and you decided to do it, and then you defraud America, and then you collect benefits because now you're 62 and you've got a baby that was just born 2 weeks ago that you're getting the Social Security on that Social Security number because you're 62 and applying for it. How do the people in Social Security not see the problems that we're having when it's very basic for legal Americans, legal civilians, because, and I know you guys know the definition of citizen, it's causing problems because of the world order and the corporation. So I'm going to call us all civilians, legal civilians. We'll just settle on that. Okay. So that in that term, how can we work all this time and go through all this paperwork? And when we reach that age, whatever age, because now they don't want you to start it until you're 70, because most people die by the time they're 70 in America. And so here we're sitting waiting to get that benefit, and we have to wait a couple of months so they can calculate it, get it all figured out, get get it. They said get the procedure set up. Okay. How does that happen for an illegal who's never worked in America or somebody that's worked on a baby's social security number? How does it happen for them? And the 3.9 million new social security numbers they issued just for the certain illegals that came in. So, and I want you guys to know that 3.9 million is not your typical people coming across the border. That's somebody who's been helped to be here in
Oh yeah,
order to get a social security
NGOs.
number that's never been issued
Yep.
and get benefits immediately with no history of even being in America and not being an American. That's why I hope I'm presenting enough of the layers of the fraud and corruption
Yeah.
that you can see just how much they've taken advantage of us, because you can't just clean up one part of our society and let them take advantage of, the other
Absolutely. Yeah.
99%. That's where we are.
But this
That's
is
where we are.
this is beautiful right here, Bulgaria and Chile. The people basically
Mm-hmm.
rose up. And this is what we're trying to inspire people to do. And
Mm-hmm.
they threw off in Chile 35 years of communist rule. In
Mm-hmm.
Bulgaria, they were going to enslave them with admission to the European Union and
Mm-hmm.
higher taxes. They don't need no one. We don't need taxes anywhere. The whole
Mm-mm.
world needs to do away with taxes. And
Mm-hmm.
this is something that's going to be a big push, I think, going forward. Just like DeSantis, the for your homes,
Mm-hmm.
it's income tax as well. I mean, when you buy
Mm-hmm.
something, you know, maybe there's a certain fair tax, but other than
Mm-hmm.
that, there's no tax. It goes away. So that'll do away with Federal Reserve, the IRS, and all the different organizations out there we all know are corrupt.
President Trump has announced all this.
Yeah.
There's a small little video. It's way down, not something to get to today, but in this short little video, and it was sent out by MJ Truth. And so if you guys want to search it that way, but anyway, it's a short little video from the president, and he's saying, we're doing really good in collecting these tariffs. In fact, we're right at the point of 18 trillion. Because, you know, when he did these deals, when he did that deal in Saudi Arabia and Qatar for all these planes and everything else, people think it's a one-time deal. That's the amount of money. Guys, that's not true. Those planes are going to be around for a long time. Who's going to have the parts? Who's going to train the people? Who's going to do all these things? I mean, it is an expansive thing. So he said, I got 18 trillion, and soon, very soon, I don't think there's going to be any reason for anybody to pay income tax.
Yeah.
He has said that more than once.
And he already
He has said that more
January
than
1st,
once.
there's going to be, no tax for, people, Social Security and
Mhm.
people getting tips and working overtime. It's
Mhm.
beginning. It's the beginning stages of
Mhm.
removing all of the taxation. So that's
Mhm.
fantastic. Yeah. It's all illegal and it's finally coming to a
Mhm.
head. It's finally getting taken away. So that
Mhm.
was really good.
We've already done these,
Yep. And
and
this is
that is
Dr.
the
Pete Chambers. I had him on
accountability
my
letter.
show. Thank you very much. And he's phenomenal. What a great guy.
Mhm.
Should be I hope, the governor of Texas coming up. So, yeah.
Well, and he was such a staunch military guy. And he probably told this on your program. He was up for Special Forces Green Beret,
Yeah.
and he was in the last 2 days, and you're right at the point and you're finishing, and he either broke a bone in his toe or in his foot.
Mhm.
And so he had to wash out, and he was right at the end of completing it. So he went to med school, became a flight surgeon because he didn't want to just band-aid people on the field. He wanted to save their lives. And so he did that, comes back at 42, takes all of that training again for Green Beret, and passes it with flying colors at the age of 42. So when we met, well, I knew him because he was on with Todd Callender during all of the programs and all of the emails during the whole genocide process from 19 to 20 to 21 to 22. We were on email. The whole long list of people were on email and communicating with each other to get the job done and get the word out. And so that's where I first saw him on the screen with Todd Callender. But then I had a chance to meet him with his security dog, Joe. It's trained in like 5 foreign languages, for wherever he places his feet. And so we got to talking. And when I did the magazine article for Andrew Magazine, it was on how to stop border, how to how to secure the border, because it's in our Constitution that who secures the border is the militia. And the militia is anyone 18 to 55 able-bodied. But it doesn't mean you go for 3 years and protect your border and you don't earn an income for your family. It's the guys work together and make it happen. Then when it becomes an invasion level that we've been at that whole San Diego all the way over to the end of Texas, that whole border coming in to us, if you don't stop it there. So the title of the article was Remember the Alamo.
Hmm.
And it was that this is in the Constitution, when it becomes so huge, because if you don't stop them at Texas, they'll be everywhere. What have we seen happen? They're in every state. They're everywhere. And
Yeah.
so that's called the several states militia. And that's why at the Alamo, there were guys from Minnesota, Iowa, Tennessee, Kentucky. They came from all over. And even Bowie in Texas, I guess, was killed, the knife guy, because we've spoken. I think you were there at Bowie with PPN. But anyway, when I was talking with him, he thought he was going to make a difference. And so he went in and agreed to be the leader of the National Guard in Texas. I
Mhm.
said, you can't touch it. He said, one, he said, you're part of the military industrial complex when you're in the National Guard, because they're called the National Guard, but they're an Army Guard. And so you're part of and he goes, oh, wow. So then he went over to the Texas Rangers, and you know what they did? They changed the title of the Texas Rangers to the Texas State Guard. It puts it in another military realm. Instead of the Texas Rangers have always been known, they're the big marshals. And they had the same um, following the rule of law level of the US Marshals. So why would you reduce your guys to being state guard? State guard would even be below National Guard. And so that's what he's been dealing with. But what did that give him a chance to do? See all of this that's been happening in America, that he's been all around the world fighting for all these years.
Yeah.
I mean, and all the injuries he's had. And that's part of why he's got Joe. And yet he just got in a glass um, helicopter, flew another guy out and did a video for us and showed us there's floodplain land in Texas, and the county approved all the permits for a former NFL player to sell all these lots to all of these people who have no idea that when Texas has one of their regular rains and everything's going to be flooded up to 10 feet in these floodplain areas because you're below what you have to be safe.
Yeah.
Nobody should have ever built anything there. He's
Oh.
flying over and showing us all of this, and nobody's been dealing with any of it. And
Hmm.
so here he is learning all this to help in Texas, and then finding out, because people didn't know, they thought the highest Muslim population in America is still Dearborn, Detroit. That's a Dingle family issue. 1933 to 55 was the dad, 55 to 2015 was the son, and now his second wife, I believe, a former flight attendant, Debbie Dingle, is in there. So from 1933 to current day, the Dingles have run those districts in Dearborn, Detroit, and that's where all the Muslim influx and coordination happened. But nobody realized in Texas, they have several Sharia law centers that they're now just finding out about with
Wow.
entire housing areas that nobody knew about. So it's not just that we have Muslims here, we have people making it happen in the county permit office. We have people making it happen in the city manager's office. We have people, you see what I mean?
Mhm.
The
Wow.
depth of cooperation in all of this. Didn't we talk about the last time the guy in Iowa that's the superintendent over the biggest school district in Iowa?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy's been here illegally for 30 years. But
Yep.
up in Maryland, he has it's Maryland or Maine, I think it's Maryland. He has two driver's licenses, so he has two voting records, and he has two social security numbers, and of course, and he's using all of them. So how is he employed in Iowa over the school district without any legal background and never ever tried to become an American? The
Yeah.
whole time he's been here illegally for
So you
30
got to
years.
present all kinds of paperwork when you reach the lowest position, and so he's
Yeah,
way up.
yeah,
And yeah, so it's the corruption, like we talk about, is incredible. Now I'm looking at this: three new separate indictments dropped tonight.
yes,
John Bolton,
yes.
18 new felonies, Smartmatic election fraud, and $1 million bribery scheme in the Philippines to win election contract. And 11 members in Antifa's terror cell targeting ICE facility in North Texas. So lots of nice indictments dropping.
And those Antifa people, did you know they own mansions also? They were funded
Oh, of
also. Yeah.
course.
So there's going to be a lot. Can you believe all of this is, we're still on, we're not even, now we're just getting back to the 15th. All of this has happened, and I've only picked up some of the key ones because it's that much right now.
Yeah. And I
This
like
is
this one by
phenomenal. This is
Jack.
Paxton,
Oh my God.
and
Great.
Paxton is taking on, he said, I'm suing 5 major TV companies, including some with ties to the CCP for spying on Texans through the TVs. Remember how they said that when you've got these smart TVs and smartphones, they can surveil you.
Yeah.
Companies, especially those connected to the Chinese Communist Party, have no business illegally recording Americans' devices inside their own homes.
Wow.
I mean, I just found out about lead paint. Did you know the story about lead paint? They had us get rid of
Yeah,
the
they
lead
they put
paint.
it out there so that they couldn't see inside.
Yes, they couldn't
Yeah.
surveil you inside your home.
Right. So they took away the lead paint and now they can surveil you inside your home. Now I
Yep.
remember way back they had said that they had put listening devices in like Westinghouse refrigerators or some one of those companies so they could spy on the mafia and
Hmm.
certain, I guess, New York or whatever. And then it just spread from there, evidently.
Well, it's crazy because it's in your smart TVs. That's why they wanted everything. They are fighting me constantly in Georgia. When we had the hurricane, they wanted all of us to get these new modems, and they think I am wrong to not to want the 500 level. And everybody goes, "Oh yeah, you should at least have 1500. You need a fast enough speed." Am I noticing any difference in speed? No. And so when I came back from a trip, I knew there was something wrong, and things were just circling all the time. And I said, I don't know what's going on. And they said, well, we had to upgrade your system while you were away. And I went, how could you upgrade it without my approval?
Yeah.
And they said, well, it gives you a discount. So we're going to discount $10 a month. They put me up to 2,000 coming into my house. And what people don't understand is I went and got the is it Eric Hill? The guy that did the meter. So like the Geiger counter meter.
Yeah.
And so I went and bought one. They're $39.99. And I can give you the information to share with the people, but they're like $39.99, and I can give you a picture of it. And what I did, because out in the West Coast, you would put the meter by an empty, well, nothing would be plugged in. So when I got it, I went to all my surge suppressors and it went off on every one of them. Now,
Wow.
here's what happened 60 days later. I had it plugged in and charged up in the bathroom. When I went to leave the bathroom, there's a plug just as you cross the threshold on the inside. It went off. There was nothing plugged into either. So I came back in the bathroom, held it by it, and it went into the danger zone. And there's nothing plugged in. So I went on the other side. There's another empty plug. It went off. And it went off stronger than my surge suppressor that had multiple things plugged into it. And I thought, how could this happen? So I called the specialist. She said, I told you, you got to put, is it that Faraday? What's
Faraday
the
cage.
name of that Faraday fabric? She said, you got to cut little squares of that and pin it to your over so it hangs over your outlets. And I go,
What?
I'm going to do what? Because she said, that's the way you stop it. Do you know the lead paint would have helped with that too?
Hmm.
Our ancestors knew to protect yourself with lead paint. And I don't think anyone's ever had a child go eat part of the wall to eat
I've never,
lead paint.
yeah, that's ridiculous. Like paint peeling off the walls and they pick up the
Yeah.
paint. But that was all BS. So they always do that. It's about the
Mhm.
children. No, it's about the children to them. They, adrenochrome them and, sacrifice them and, sexually abuse them. But they use that all the time.
Mhm.
It's like, oh yeah, we're protecting the children. No, you guys and your, child protective custody organizations, traffic children. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's very, very frustrating. But this is some of the things I hope we start to overcome very quickly when President Trump has his, emergency broadcast tonight from the White House. So
Mhm.
it's going to be great.
Mhm. And I'm so honored that we could get together today, because what we just went through is not even quite 24 hours of news. And that's just pieces that I picked up that I
Incredible.
could connect together with the other
Well, you covered
pieces.
quite a bit, and you cover it in a way that very few people have any idea about. And I think you've just really opened up the audience on a massive level. Once again, we all love you. You're really bringing the information, and I know this is getting through because President Trump. Like we talked about, it seems like I know people say, and I haven't said it because I don't see that, but I know how this works. Like we talked about, there's a God consciousness, and we're all tapped into it, and we're
Mhm.
all working together, and we want everybody else to tap into that as well. So that's why we share this information, how we do it, so that everybody
Mhm.
else can do it as well, and we can overcome this very quickly.
Mhm.
Maybe the address tonight will, put everybody on a certain footing so that we can really start to hammer down on this.
Mhm. Well, I'm just so excited that you had the opportunity to bring me on so we could get through this today, because um
Perfect timing.
and because you understand the depth of this. You know how easy you make this for me. I mean, I just so appreciate you.
I
And
just went out of your way. I'm like, take it, run with it. Yeah.
but it takes two people understanding what's going on to add the depth to it, so that people can comprehend that none of this has ever been dealt with. They've never, I said this again and again. Can you imagine all of your ancestors did all the same crimes against our Americans?
Yeah.
It's all been the same. None of it's ever changed. When they pushed the Native Americans off, they brought in their people. Do you see what I mean? And then they moved their people out into run other parts of the country and brought in more of their people. And Ukraine holds their people. Israel holds their people. That's why keep funding, keep funding, keep funding. Stop the funding. You don't know what you're funding, because it's all coming back and operating against you. I just It's a simpler process if you look at it from a 40,000-foot view.
Yeah.
And I hope that we've given that to the people.
Yeah.
And I'm just so excited now. In fact, I got to find a way to get it to you. My book was just released in hardback on December 1. I haven't talked to you since it was because we haven't talked since November. December 1, it came out in hardback. And so the newsletter just came out, and I think that went to you. If it didn't, I'll get it to you. But if anybody wants a hardback, it has to go through Amazon because that's the only way I could get it global. And people want to be able to get the hardback copies globally too. So, but through my website, you can still get the paperback. But we offered to do an autograph copy. So I don't know if you want an autograph copy and you didn't get the newsletter, write to us and we'll send you the newsletter. Because I'm going to have to individually order them and then autograph them, and then we're going to have to ship them out again. And so I just
And your
wanted to let people
fine
know
hands
about
would
that.
be like going off.
Yeah, yeah. We've already shipped out the first ones because the newsletter went out 2 days ago, and we shipped all the first orders yesterday. So I've got to order more of the books, and almost everything is taking till after the new year because of the holiday. And we have you seen the pictures, videos of the storms where there's a few of the prime trucks that were in half and everything out on the highway because of the storms, the ice, they hit the ice, and if you have that weight on your 18-wheeler and you hit ice, there's really nothing you can do until it stops.
Ooh,
And so just pray for the guys with the weather, but we'll get them to you as fast as we can, but probably after the new year.
very good. What's the name of the book again?
An eternal plan always trumps a human plan. It's the 45 points. When I read those
Yeah,
today,
okay.
I just read you 10 of them.
Yeah.
And that's not even 1/4 of the 45 of how they destroyed us. But when you hear it, you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know what I mean? So, but it's how to counter those 45 points is what the book is. And it's 500 pages. And I cannot even tell you the difference between seeing it in paperback and seeing it as a hardback is unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And
Yeah.
I haven't had a hardback book since my business books. And so everything's been paperback, and all the paperback and ebooks are available on the website.
Very nice. Okay. So it's hardback now. Good.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. The paperback is 30, the hardback is 35. I kept it down as tight as I could because the pricing on the hardback is of course a lot more. But I want you guys to be able to
Yeah, I've got the
to
paperback and the Kindle, and they're all very handy. So you're going to be
mm-hmm,
researching quite a bit. So hardcover, it'll be nice, and you can get it signed. So sweet,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
beautiful.
Well, I just thank you for today. I really appreciate the time with you because we can really get into all this stuff. And in probably 72 hours, there'll be enough to do this all over again. I don't know what your schedule is like, but do you see the momentum now? There's a momentum. There's a realization of the depth of this. You can now see action steps. And I just pray that more and more people realize what our military has been through to get us to this point, because they've been fighting the evil in the military as much as we've been trying to deal with it in our nation. And they've been on other shores helping all of those people while their families were vulnerable here.
Yep.
So just if we can do everything we can, and I'm going to try and find out everything we can do for these homeless vets, because San Diego has a lot and
Yeah.
always has. And yet you see a tent city that was built for the illegals, guys. When the illegals came in, they were filling the streets of San Diego. So they
Big
took
time.
an entire hillside that you can see when you're driving through Balboa Park. You're coming up the hill, and the whole hillside is in rows of brand new tents and everything for the
Oh my
illegals,
God.
but
Yeah,
not
they're
for
on
the
the
vets.
overpasses when you're
Mm-hmm.
driving, you know, through
Mm-hmm.
the downtown area on the highway
Mm-hmm.
there. They're all on the overpasses now. It's been a little bit since I've been there. I did an event where I stayed at Hotel Del, and
Mm-hmm.
you're nice there. I'm there where I used to run by the Hotel Del, and it's like someday I'm going to stay there, so I get to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
driving in from the airport, my God, I was like, what happened to San Diego? Oh,
Mm-hmm. Well, because they're bringing them in, and they take their shoelaces just like they did in Arizona. They take their shoelaces, they take all of their documentation so they can't prove who they are, and the last bit of money they have in their pockets, and drop them off busloads at a time.
Mm. Well, Sheila, it's been great. I gotta jump off. I got another show, but what an amazing show we had today. Thanks so much. Thanks to everybody that came in. We had a great audience. Let me see how many was over there. I think right now we got probably wow, 3,275. So huge audience for me. Don't normally have that many people watching. So thank you for coming in, and
Mhm.
everybody loved it. It's been a great show. Thanks a lot.
Any key questions that you're seeing? I didn't know they were watching live. If you see any key questions or anything, let me know and I'll get answers to you to
Okay.
is whatever we can do to help the people.
Yeah.
So
Maybe that's
I
what we'll
just
do
thank
one
you.
time. We'll do a show and we'll ask for questions and we'll review.
Oh, that'd be fun. We could, because we haven't been able to go live. And so now if you're able to go live, let's do it. Let's do an interactive one and answer the
Yeah.
questions live right on the show.
Yeah. Well, what I do
Whenever
is
you
I
want to
go
schedule
Zoom.
it.
I go Zoom. I don't announce that we're going to have a show. It just kind of shows up
Yep.
and people just come in like crazy. It's like, oh, you guys are doing a show again. So
Yeah.
it'll get watched a lot. This is one of the best shows we've done. So thanks so much. Been great.
Well, thank you. And let's do that. Let's schedule something of answering the questions.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And
Absolutely. No question about it. Yeah.
what a
All right.
blessing.
Thanks. Lots of love to you.